Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Baddies Gone Wild review, so let's just get right into what happened in part 1 of the Baddies Gone Wild reunion. I'm not gonna lie, they took forever to get this reunion started. I mean, I skipped past a lot of stuff. I skipped past all of them walking into their dressing rooms. I skipped past the host having a conversation with each other. I skipped past all of that, and honestly, that was basically more than half of this episode spent backstage. Now, they did end up putting Bahati, Oxy, Shay, and Jaden in a room together, and that wasn't surprising to me because they got along with each other throughout the season, and they were the four that the entire house was basically against. And besides Erica, they were the most likable ones on this season. All the rest of the girls on this season were hard to watch, but they start arguing backstage. Like, Oxy and Bahati start getting into it with each other because Oxy still feels some type of way after watching the episode where Bahati just sat there while she was getting jumped, and Oxy felt some type of way watching the episode because at one point the girls ended up snatching the wig off of Bahati's head during this whole jumping scene, and Bahati was laughing with them when it happened, and she just felt like, why was she trying to laugh with people that ripped the wig off her head to try to humiliate her? I do understand where Oxy's coming from. Maybe Bahati could have done more because her friends were being jumped, but at the end of the day, I don't really feel like there was anything that Bahati could have done to help the situation because they were still outnumbered even if all of them would have fought together. During this argument though between Oxy and Bahati, Bahati did say that when she was fighting, none of them jumped in, but they did make a point to mention that Bahati wasn't ever getting jumped. She didn't have two people on her at once. Basically, they said all of Bahati's fights were one-on-one fights, and that is true. All of her fights were one-on-one. I just think it's stupid for them to be arguing about this situation at the reunion when they know that everybody's going to be against the four of them. This is not the time for them to be going back and forth with each other. Get on stage, have each other's back first, and then talk about this situation later. I just thought it was pointless to bring it up. I mean, they already argued about it that day it happened, so why bring it up again? Then TT, Hurricane M, and Coco are in a room together and they start talking about Daisy because apparently those girls made a song and they included Wild Bitches Take Shots, and that was something that Daisy made up throughout this season, and they used it in the song, and she wasn't a part of the song, so she feels some type of way about it. I do feel like she has a right to feel some type of way about that. However, that's a stupid reason for them to fall out. I do feel like if these girls wanted to use that phrase, they should have talked to Daisy about it first and see how she felt about it because she did make it up. I mean, we did see it in the episode, so whether you like Daisy or not, she does kind of have a reason to feel some type of way. And I do kind of like that Rella was able to see that Daisy does have a reason to feel some type of way because they put Rella and Janelys in a room together, which I was kind of surprised about because they weren't really friends this season, but they put them in the room together, and Rella says that she kind of understands why Daisy feels some type of way, but she feels like Daisy went about it the wrong way. Ming and Glossop actually end up going into the room with Rella and Janelys, and I don't understand why they necessarily have Janelys in the room with these girls because honestly, like I said before, I didn't think that Janelys was friends with them. I know she jumped Shay and Oxy with them, but I didn't think that they really liked her, and they showed that throughout the season. So to me, it kind of looked a little bit like a setup. And I'm surprised that Ming actually ended up showing up to the reunion because she was MIA after Oxy threw that water bottle at her head. I have not seen her since then. She came back when they did that little soccer game in the last episode, but other than that, she's been completely MIA. But when Erica's name ends up getting mentioned in the conversation because Ming is actually the one that brought up Erica, Janelys ends up getting involved and she ends up asking Rella if she regrets the way that she treated Erica throughout the season because she feels like instead of Rella calling out Erica the way that she did, she feels like Rella should have had a conversation with Erica first instead of escalating things into a physical fight. And Janelys also ended up telling Glossop that she had no business jumping in the fight between Erica and Rella. And you know, Gloss did admit that there was no reason for her to jump in that fight, but she said that she was just acting the way that she would have acted in real life. And in real life, if one of her friends would have gotten into a fight, she would have jumped in. So to me, she was being herself. I don't agree with what she did, but at least she's standing on what she did and she's not making excuses for it. But during this conversation, Rella ends up blaming Janelys for why she was beefing with Erica in the first place because she said that Janelys just came at them crazy after she found out from Erica that some of the girls voted her to go home after she was recording behind the scenes stuff in the restaurant. I feel like that's a cop-out because to me, that's not a reason for Rella to call out Erica for a fight. She should have asked Erica in front of Janelys what she told Janelys that they said about her, and then they could have figured it out then. But instead, she was basically forcing Erica to fight. Erica didn't want to fight. Erica had the battery pack in her hand. They start fighting with each other, and Erica cracked her in her head. I'm not saying I agree with her using a weapon, but the girl told you she didn't want to fight, and she had the battery pack in her hand when she told you she didn't want to fight, and you still pressed her to fight anyway. Then Rella gets so pissed off when Janelys mentions that, you know, Erica is a fan favorite on the season. She gets mad and she starts going at Janelys, and Janelys tells Rella that she looks like a hate her, and it seems like she's jealous of Erica because anytime Erica's name is mentioned, Rella gets mad, and all of a sudden, Rella starts fighting Janelys. They start fighting in the dressing room. To me, it looked like a tie. I mean, Rella was in front of Janelys and security was in the way, so we couldn't really see too much of what Janelys was doing at some point, but it looked like each time they were both hitting each other, so to me, I'll give it a tie. But to me, Janelys was right. It did seem like Rella is jealous of Erica because why get so upset anytime the girl's name is mentioned? Like, it seems like she's pressed about her. Then Daisy and Cupcake end up walking into the dressing room where Coco, TT, and Hurricane M are talking, and all of a sudden Daisy just walks up on Coco and the two of them start fighting with each other. Security's in the way, so we can't really see what they're doing. We can't see who's winning the fight, but TT definitely tried to jump in that fight and jump Daisy. She did actually jump Daisy because she was over there hitting her, and then Cupcake gets involved and tries to break up the fight, and Hurricane M starts checking Cupcake, telling Cupcake not to get involved and try to break up fights, and it's like, girl, the girl's getting jumped. She's gonna try to break it up, and this is the only time I'm gonna agree with anything that Cupcake does, because for the most part, I did not like Cupcake throughout this season. Cupcake was doing too much and acting like a follower and being messy, so I was not feeling Cupcake, but I do respect the fact that Cupcake was over there trying to break it up when TT was trying to jump Daisy. And I'm not gonna lie, I was not a fan of Daisy this season at all. She gave bully vibes to me, but these girls all of a sudden not feeling her and wanting to fight her, to me, is lame, because they should have had this energy towards her when they were in that house with her and she was bossing them around and beating them the fuck up. They didn't have anything to say at that point. They were all siding with her and doing whatever she says. Now they see the backlash that they got from the fans and how the fans were saying that they were a bunch of followers who were scared of Daisy. Now they want to come to the reunion and try to prove a point. Now, after a long time of them focusing on stuff that was happening backstage, they finally ended up taking it to the stage. And look, I'm not gonna lie, I skipped past the conversation that was happening between the audience and the three hosts of the show. I don't think there's a point to have three hosts. I don't think it's important to have three of them. I feel like it's so noisy and there's a bunch of fighting that goes on all the time anyway that there's no need for three. And I don't like them having a live audience at the reunions. I just feel like the audience does too much. Even in this reunion, the audience was doing too much. I'm not talking about them booing people, but they were doing a lot of yelling and trying to fight, and it was just doing too much for me. They bring Daisy out on the stage first and the crowd starts booing her, obviously, and then Janelys comes out. Some of the fans like her, some of the fans don't. She had a mixed review throughout the season as well, because sometimes people liked her and sometimes people didn't. That's accurate to me, because sometimes Janelys was likable and other times she wasn't. But as soon as Janelys gets on stage, Daisy just runs at her and the two of them start fighting with each other. Now, they go 3 rounds with each other. 3. The first round they fought, to me, Janelys lost. She was swinging on Daisy, but she lost because she ended up falling on the ground and Daisy was able to get an advantage on her. The next time they fought, they started swinging on each other. Janelys was keeping up just a little bit and then she fell back on the couch and Daisy was able to take over. And then there was another time where Daisy ran up on her. They started fighting. You know, Janelys was sitting in that chair. And, you know, she was swinging, but at the end of the day, Daisy did have the upper hand because Janelys kept falling. Like, Janelys cannot keep her balance when she's fighting. Daisy ends up saying that the reason why her and Janelys fought is because Janelys was talking about her as a parent, saying that she left her 4-month-old baby by herself to come on the show. And obviously, Daisy had an issue with that. So to me, they had a valid reason to fight them because of that back and forth, because a lot of people will fight when you mention them as a parent. Somebody in the audience ended up yelling out something to Daisy, though, saying that she doesn't have any money for her baby. And that's when Daisy runs up to the crowd and she starts trying to fight somebody in the audience. She throws something and everything, and things was getting really crazy. This is why I don't like them having a live audience, because the girls already have to fight each other. They shouldn't be having to fight people in the audience too. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of, you know, them having a live audience for this show. The fans for this show are a little bit too rowdy, so I just don't agree with the live audience. I feel like it's a distraction. Ming ends up coming out on stage and she seems like she might be a little drunk. I don't know if she was drunk, but she was acting like she was, which she kind of acted like that throughout the season too. So I don't know if that's just how she acts or if she was drinking a little bit too much. Then Gloss Up ends up coming on stage, and to me, she looked the best out of everybody at the reunion. I'm not a fan of her from the way that she acted this season, but to me, she looked really good. Ming and Gloss Up didn't really get booed, but TT, Hurricane M, and Cupcake definitely got booed as soon as they came on that stage. Like, the fans was not feeling them at all, and honestly, I don't blame them. Rella ended up coming on stage and she got got booed too, because obviously the fans was not feeling her because she was acting like a bully throughout the season as well, and obviously most people don't like that. But Cupcake was literally arguing with the fans in the crowd, going back and forth with them because the fans were saying that Cupcake is trans. I don't know if Cupcake is trans. I do know that I did see the photos and it does seem like that might be true, but Cupcake is still saying that it's not true, that she's not trans, and then she ends up pulling down her pants to show her vagina and it was blurred out. I don't know if it's a real vagina or if she had surgery. I really don't know. I don't think it was necessary for her to flash everybody, but I guess she was trying to prove a point. I just feel like it was completely unnecessary and it was doing a lot. But hopefully in next week's part 2 of the reunion, they actually get to the point instead of spending so much time on stuff that's going on backstage and having the hosts talk to each other and talk to the audience. Honestly, we already know what the audience has to say. They say it all over social media every day, every week when the episodes come out. So honestly, I feel like they should just focus on the girls. But those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies Gone Wild. Let me know what you guys thought about part 1 of the Baddies Gone Wild reunion down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.